Buenas and Hafri, the public hearing on the Committee on Infrastructure, Economic Development, Simon Sanchez High School, Disability Services, Self-Determination, Historic Preservation, Housing, Public Accountability, and the Guam Build-Up is called to order. It is currently 1:30 p.m., Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. This afternoon, the committee will hear testimony on the executive appointment of Doreen T. Cristostomo-Muña, Ph.D., to serve as a member of the Guam Economic Development Authority Board of Directors. Notice of this afternoon's public hearing was provided to senators, stakeholders, and local media on August 28, 2023, which is a 5-day notice, and September 3rd, 2023, which is 48-hour notice, thus meeting the requirements for open government law. In addition to the notice of this hearing, it was also posted and available on the Guam Legislature's website. Materials for this public hearing were shared on the committee drive and are available for printing upon request. For sign-in convenience, please scan the QR code upon entering the chamber, and it is as displayed, and input browser is at bit.ly/rabq_sign-in, SIAGNIN. Joining me today is just myself, just myself. Sidos Masi to myself for being here. Okay, so this should be a quick one. So just before we start, I'm going to go over the rules of conduct. I'd like to first provide some general rules of conduct for those in attendance. The conduct of this hearing shall be as follows. 1, the chair shall first recognize individuals presenting and make sure their names are stated for record-keeping purposes. 2, questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of this agenda. 3, individuals speaking should only use respectful and professional language and conduct. Personal interference about the character or motive of any senator or any individual testifying is absolutely not permitted. The chairperson of this committee may order the removal from this public hearing room or this committee hearing or subcommittee of any person who is not a member of Legislature Guam and who fails to observe proper decorum according to the 37th Legislature Guam standing rules. All must abide by these rules of conduct and quality assurance standards. Any violation of this rule or of conduct will result in the removal from this public hearing room. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. Okay, on the agenda, the committee will hear the testimony of the executive appointment of Doreen T. Cristostomo-Muña, Ph.D., to serve as a member of the Guam Economic Development Authority Board of Directors. Those testifying will be allowed to present their written or oral testimony, and testimony may be read, and extended testimony should be summarized to about 5 minutes. Written testimony shall be submitted to the committee. Please provide the committee staff with your written testimony for photocopying. Once you are done, please remain in the room for questions or additional testimony as needed or desired by the committee. Note that this is a reappointment of Dr. Doreen. She first began in August 22nd as a Board of Directors for Guam Economic Development Authority to fill the unexpired term of a member. On December 12, 2022, she was confirmed unanimously. Additionally, Dr. Doreen has served as a member of the Board of Directors for Guam Housing Corporation October 4, 2019, and I would like to call Mrs. Dr. Doreen to provide her testimony. And before you start, I would like to acknowledge my colleague, Senator Tello Taidigui. Afternoon. Okay, you can start when you're ready.
Oh, okay, hello.
Ph.D.
Chairperson Senator Quinata and Senator Tello Taidigui. It was my honor to answer the call to service when the GEDA Board of Directors needed someone to carry out the remaining term of a departing member. I was very grateful when this body confirmed my nomination last year in December. Today, it remains my honor to receive this reappointment by Governor Leon Guerrero and Lieutenant Governor Tenorio to serve a new term on the GEDA board. Previously, I shared with this committee that most of my career has been dedicated to government service. I served in various capacities for many years, performing accounting and finance work within the executive and legislative branches before transitioning into the academic field. I have gained from and contributed to the area and practice of government accounting in Guam. In particular, I have served in active leadership role with our local and national Association of Government Accountants organization. With this background and professional experience and public service, I joined the GEDA board and have been helping to guide and support the management team. I am proud to report I have not missed a single board meeting. Following COVID and Typhoon Marwar, economic development remains among our most crucial government efforts. GEDA continues to work with the Governor's Diversification Task Force to promote other sources of revenue for Guam, such as the infrastructure projects, technology, telecommunication, aquaculture, and additive manufacturing. If confirmed, I look forward to continuing the work with our chairperson, my fellow board members, and the GEDA management team to continue the mission of the agency in supporting and promoting economic development on our island. Thank you for this time, and I humbly ask for your favorable consideration of my nomination, Sizus Masi.
Sizus Masi, Doctor. I will now call Ms. Mel Mendiola. Did you have any oral testimony to provide, body? Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Senator, and I apologize for my tardiness. Ph.D., Senator Quinata, Chairman Quinata, and members of the Committee on Infrastructure, Economic Development, Simon Sanchez High School, Disability Services, Self-Determination and Historic Preservation, Housing, Public Accountability, and the Guam Buildup. And thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony regarding Dr. Doreen Cristostomo-Muña's reappointment to the GEDA Board. At GEDA, we take pride in the fact that we're a small but mighty little office of the government. In addition to our standing programs and initiatives such as increasing local and foreign investment, loans, real property management, and government financing, GEDA has also been tasked with assisting other government of Guam agencies in the management of large-scale government capital improvement projects and public health child care programs, just to name a few. The guidance and perspective of our board has been crucial to our success as an organization. Since her initial confirmation, Dr. Cristostomo-Muña has provided a unique perspective and guidance to the GEDA management team. Her decades-long experience in government accounting, higher education, and public service has been of great assistance to GEDA during her initial tenure on the board. I'm confident that Dr. Cristostomo-Muña's continued presence on the board will amplify GEDA's ability to meet our mission of successful and sustainable economic development. Since becoming a member of the GEDA board, Dr. Cristostomo-Muña has been open and frank with her thoughts on the expanded role of GEDA, GEDA is playing in our government. She has taken a keen interest in several areas of the organization, such as our public finance division, and has been proactive in her efforts to support our programs and initiatives. As the GEDA administrator, I greatly appreciate her candor and active approach to being a member of the board. GEDA's board is made up of a broad cross-section of business leaders who share a passion for improving the quality of life of Guam's people through policies and initiatives that promote sound economic development. Dr. Cristostomo-Muña brings a unique perspective that will continue to aid GEDA as we strive to bring this passion to fruition. Thank you as always for your time. I respectfully encourage the members of Mina 37 na Legislator en Guahan to confirm Dr. Doreen Cristostomo-Muña's reappointment to the GEDA board expeditiously. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Mel. We're definitely going to do this expeditiously. This is a reappointment. I will now yield the floor to my colleague, Senator Tello Taitigui, if she has any questions for the appointment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to everyone, especially GEDA. It's always good to see you, Mel. So Dr. Cristostomo-Muña, gosh, I know your whole family. If Dave was here, you know, sitting here, which I'm hoping he tries next time, and I know he would probably have a lot to add to why you'd be the perfect fit for this position. You know, you've been a very hard worker, I think. I mean, just look at your background and all that you've accomplished. GEDA is very lucky to have someone like you on board. So I appreciate that. We were here last time for David John's confirmation hearing, and it's still the two of us. There's not that many people here, but you know, for me, it's important that if anybody wants to serve the people of Guam, they should at least, you know, we should be here to ask questions and ensure that we're choosing the right person for the job, but most especially to be here out of respect for you. You know, if you're taking the time out of your time taking time out of your schedule to be a part of making Guam great, then thank you so much for stepping up to the plate for that. There was a question I did ask David John on his confirmation. How did he feel about board member term limits? And so how do you feel about term limits sitting on the board?
I really don't know because I don't really sit on the board that long.
How long have you been on the board now?
Well, I sat on the Guam Housing Board, and, this one is
Yes,
only
GEDA,
a couple of
yeah.
months.
How many?
Only this, it's since December.
December,
So
so
8
just
months.
recently, 8 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of hard to, I mean, it's nice to have
Well, it's-
institutional knowledge,
Yeah.
you know, from other individuals, but when you're going to serve for how long if you're confirmed? What is the time length?
4 years?
4 years.
Yeah.
So 2 terms would have an individual serving for almost eight years in that capacity, you know, and I'm sure there's other people who want to serve, you know, also on GEDA. It's a very lively and interesting board and definitely a great networking board to be on too as well, especially if you're in business. So, well, think about it. You know, I know it's, next time you come up for confirmation, I'll ask you the same question again. If I'm here, if I'm not, I'm hoping somebody else will ask you. While you've been there since December, I know that we passed a bill, the second round of LEAP, the LEAP program. Are you familiar with that program?
Yes.
Okay. Has GEDA implemented that yet?
No, not yet, but we did approve like the SOP for it.
Standard operating?
Yeah.
Well, it's round 2, so you don't have one already in place? If you can't answer, Mel, I'll take your answer if you can't.
Sure. We did another revised standard operating procedure because the formula calculation, because of the amount of money, was different. And so we reflected some of those changes in the standard operating procedure. So the calculation is different in addition to the maximum awards are also different. And so given that, we utilized our original SOP, we updated it and took it to the board for presentation and subsequent approval. It has not been implemented yet, ma'am.
But it has been approved by the board?
Yes.
Okay, it hasn't been implemented. Why is that, hasn't it?
The original, I believe the original trigger date for it was supposed to be, we were hoping for May for a launch, and then of course the typhoon happened. And then at the time, the feedback that we received from Department of Administration, if you recall, I believe the language of the the law that was passed, the language discusses excess revenues. And I believe the original plan was to utilize excess revenues, but because of the typhoon, there was an air of uncertainty if excess would exist. And
FY23 or 22?
Fiscal 23. Remember, this law was passed in April of this year.
So it's excess FY23 excess revenue?
That's
Okay,
correct.
so we won't know that until next year, June.
That's correct. And so there's a technicality aspect of it, but in addition to just a cash flow assessment that we were, the priority, of course, was Mawar recovery and relief, and then to do an assessment of excess, as you pointed out, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mel, for that. So Dr. Cristostomo-Muña, since you've been serving in December, what areas have you contributed? Is it like broken up in certain, subject matters are you working on, or just you listen to everything, or what is your interest in GEDA? What's the one part that you can contribute to?
Tina's committee, bonds.
Bonds?
Yeah, I'm interested, and also like the revenue, just just speaking with management about the types of revenue that that we give businesses. It's like focus on revenues that we don't control, because that does impact the government's financial, like the corporate taxes.
For taxes, and that kind of leads me into my next question. Do you feel you have a conflict of interest in any way? And if you do, something comes up that deals with, taxes, or a individual who's up for some funding from GEDA that could be a client or potential client, are you ready to recuse yourself?
Yes, I am, but I don't have any business.
You
At
don't
this
have any
time.
business?
At this time, yeah, we are.
Okay.
I don't have, I'm academic, I teach.
Okay.
Yes,
That's good.
and I do have a rental, but
That would
GEDA
probably be
hasn't-
Angura.
GEDA hasn't given any incentive on that.
Okay. Okay, well, other than that, I wish you the very much great luck for you to, move forward in this capacity. But, and you, of course, have approval from the family to sit on this board, right? I see your husband's here to provide that
Yes.
support. Do we got a thumbs up, Mr. Muña? And the daughter, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
granddaughter.
A lot of times you're taken away from your family, when you have these board meetings, or a lot of study time is at home too as well. So to have the supportive family is so important, so that you can succeed in what you're doing. So I wish you again the very best, and my door's always open. So if I could be of any help, assistance to you, please don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Mel, for being here. And the GEDA team, it's good to see you guys.
Yep. Well, thank you so much again to the GEDA team. Thank you, Mr. Muña, for being here and supporting your wife, most especially Mel. Okay, if there are no further testimonies or questions for the committee, I appreciate your participation in today's public hearing, and will continue to receive testimony until Thursday, September 7, 2023. Please address your testimony to Senator Roy A.B. Quinata, Chairperson, Committee on Infrastructure, Economic Development, Simon Sanchez High School, Disability Service, Self-Determination, Historic Preservation, Housing, Public Accountability in Guam Builder, and can be dropped off to the mailroom here at the Guam Congress Building, or can be sent to the office of Senator Quinata at guamlegislature.org, or WhatsApp at 671-472-4826. I now conclude today's public hearing, and the time is 1:46. Woo! I think that's a new record. So with that being said, I'm very glad for your reappointment, and I look forward to the body favoring your reappointment confirmation, okay? Thank you, Ms. Cristostomo. Have a great day.